Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Women Connected in Wisdom podcast. My guest today, y'all, is Lisa Woodruff. And let me tell you about her because we're starting the show a little bit different than usual today. Lisa Woodruff is the founder and CEO of Organize 365. Lisa and 87% of Americans believe that organization is a learnable skill. Yet less than 18% of those same Americans feel they are organized. As the host of the top rated Organize 365 podcast with 24 million downloads and counting, Lisa shares strategies for reducing the overwhelm, clearing the mental clutter, and living a productive and organized life. Welcome, welcome to the show, Lisa.
My goodness, thank you so much for having me.
We are so glad you're here. For those of y'all that are going to be watching or listening live, Shannon is not able to be with us this week, and we're wishing her and her family well as she's dealing with some family things. And we didn't want to postpone this show, Lisa, because you have some really exciting things going on that we're going to talk about today. And we wanted to get you in here before July. So I want to tell our listeners about our definition that we're talking about today, and then just jump right in. Does that work for you?
Sounds great.
All right. So, y'all, the definition of environmental wellness, according to Women Connected in Wisdom, is supporting your good health by occupying pleasant, stimulating environments that enhance well being. It promotes interaction with nature and also creating enjoyable personal environments both in and out of your workplace. This includes knowing the types of environments you thrive in and having an intentional relationship with these places, including the earth. So, Lisa, your work centers all around this. Will you
Yeah.
tell our listeners what you do and who you are?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Lisa Woodruff. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. I have a company called Organize 365. And basically, I have been obsessed with households and families and how household environments function basically from birth. My dad was from a large Irish Catholic family, and I just loved all the complexities in the different houses they had. I babysat starting at the age of 12, like it was my job. I always had full-time babysitting jobs. I was always analyzing all those households I was in. When I was babysitting, when I was in my 20s and I was teaching and couldn't get pregnant, I would organize all the teachers' cabinets and their closets and all their different rooms. Then we were blessed with adoption with 2 kids. I was blessed to be a stay-at-home mom. And we would have play dates in my house and other people's houses. And when I was at other people's houses, I would organize the toys. And then the moms would be like, how about if we have the play date in the kitchen? How about if we have the play date in the kids' bedrooms? And I would just start organizing all the rooms of their houses. And then when my kids were middle school age, I was like, okay, I need to like sink my teeth into a career that I can do for the rest of my life. And I decided to start a blog about organizing. And that's when people told me I was a professional organizer. I didn't realize I was. And because I had a teaching background and I'd been in so many households, I realized that organization was a learnable skill. And through organizing houses in Cincinnati, I took those learnings and I put them into the podcast. And I love a podcast versus YouTube for learning organizing, because when you're listening to a podcast, you're thinking about your space when I'm talking. You're not looking at my space and evaluating your space versus my space. And so I just love that medium of listening while you're seeing your own household and then making those decisions.
Well, and you can actually listen to your podcast while you are organizing.
No, yeah.
And you have 2 podcasts, which I was really excited about because and we're gonna get into your Sunday basket later, I hope, because I really am fascinated by this whole concept. But before we do, I wanna go over that statistic that we said in your
Mhm.
bio and also that you just referenced. 87% of Americans believe organization is a learnable skill, but less than 18% of them feel like they are organized. Will you speak a little more to that?
Yes. So as I turned 50, so when I turned 40, I started Organize 365, started in-home organizing. Then I started the podcast. Then I patented and started manufacturing products like the Sunday basket. Then as I was turning 50, I was like, I've been doing this for a decade professionally and my whole life, unprofessionally. And I was like, there are some holes in the marketplace as to what we even think organization is, how we define it, how we get done. And I was getting really, really frustrated that people could spend so much money and so much time to get organized, but they were never done. I'm like, when are you going to be freaking done? So you can move on and like do what you're uniquely gifted and created to do. And the organized 365 audience were, but other audiences weren't. And I was like, what is going on here? Like, what is done anyway? Do people even think you can be done? Do they think it's a learnable skill? No, you're saying no. So I did academic level research. I hired a PhD and I hired a company and we did this huge study. We had 1,500 people in the study. We oversampled for women. So we had 1,000 women and 500 men. We perfectly matched the US Census from 18 to 80 years old, and we just asked them a whole bunch of questions. And the reason we oversampled for women is we wanted to have a statistically high sample of women if we just pulled the women out. Because the academic trope is that women do more work than men, which is absolutely true, and that they view housework differently, which is not what I'm finding in my research. So anyway, and they only study families that have children at home, married couples with children, because they're looking for a male-female dynamic. But when you survey the whole population, 18 to 80, you include an additional 82% of the population that are left out of those studies, because less than 18% of people are married with children under 18. So I
I
asked those
read
people,
that in your new
yeah,
book, and that was a fascinating
that's
statistic.
just that's not even that's just like statistic. That's just like the population statistic of the United States. So
Right.
we surveyed these people, 1,500 people, and I thought, I'm organized. I'm a professional organizer. You need me. 87% of Americans, those 1,500 people said, no, organization is a learnable skill. I was like, whoa, we have replicated that study 3 times. So what you're supposed to do in academia is when you do a study, you're supposed to replicate it to see if you find the same findings with a new population sample
Mhm.
because it strengthens your findings. Most researchers never do this, by the way. It annoys me to no end. So I've done it 3 times. So I've taken 5,000 people through the same survey, and the statistic stays the same. 85 to 87%, no matter when I do it, organization is a learnable skill. Now, at that time, didn't understand. I'm getting my PhD now. I'm almost done. I didn't understand academia and statistics from a PhD level. I do now. And I, at that time, created 4 classifications of organization. My idea of organization has changed. But I had paper organization, personal organization, household organization, these different organizations. And I asked people, okay, do you feel like this part of your household is organized? Yes or no? That's where the 14 to 17% comes in. So do you think organization is a learnable skill? Yes. Are you personally organized? No. Are you paper organized? No. Are your family spaces organized? No. I'm like, okay, well, if it's learnable, but you aren't done, here's what grieves me and why I went to get my PhD. You think it's a you problem. If
Right.
people can read, but you don't know how to read, well, it's a you problem, right? If organization is learnable, but you never learned it, it's a you problem. And that's what played out in the households in Cincinnati where I was organizing. The women were, feeling bad about themselves. Sometimes their spouses were making them feel bad about themselves. They thought they were broken. They thought they were less than. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, at what point would you say that there's a learnable skill, but you should somehow be able to catch it from the ether
Right.
and do it on your own and just be perfect at it just because you moved from your childhood bedroom into an abode of your own, you should magically know what to do there. No, it needs to be taught. And so yeah, I'm almost done getting my PhD, and now I'm looking at really figuring out how do we operationalize what we do in the households, and then Organize 365 has figured out how to teach the skill.
So first of all, just kudos. Like,
Oh, thank you.
kudos, because we haven't even mentioned to our audience that not only are you getting your PhD, but you also have a new book coming out at the
Mhm.
exact same time. So, I
Yeah.
wanna I wanna tell you, or side by side, right?
Yeah.
As we often do many things side by side as women. But this new book, 10 Steps to Overcome the Overwhelm of Modern Home Life, which first of all, I love that, 'cause give me a good book that's got the steps, but also just identifying the problem, the overwhelm of modern home life,
Mhm.
and it's called Escaping Quicksand, and I just can't wait to have this call. I've made little tabs, I've made little notes. Thank you so much for sending us an advanced copy. First of all, before I jump in with all my questions,
Yeah.
tell our listeners where'd this come from?
So this is my 6th book. So I've written I talk a lot, and then I put those words into podcasts and into books. And I'm a teacher, so I love creating content. creating content for teachers is like lesson plans. It's not hard for me to create content. And I think critically about why things don't work from a teacher's point of view so that I can solve the problem so that you can get the A, so that you can move on. So when I went to write this book, I actually went to write 2 different books. January, I wrote a book, April, I wrote a book, and then in September, I like threw those away and started over again. And I realized we don't need another book on how to organize or how to learn the skill of organizing. First of all, it's way too big to go into one book. But also there was something that happened in my 50s or my 40s when I actually got and stayed organized and started to organize 365. It was the hidden mindset shifts that I made personally that allowed the organization to stick this time, that allowed me to feel less guilty about taking my newfound time to grow into what I am uniquely gifted and created to do next. What are those hidden things that made me a productive person? Productivity is often taught by tips and tricks. But the truth of the matter is, productivity is an outpouring of organization. You have to get organized first, and then you become more productive. But just getting organized doesn't mean you're going to become more productive. There are a couple of significant shifts that you make in your mind that change you from a tactical to-do person to a strategic person of significance. And you start to change the lens through which you make your decisions, and you become more productive in that nature. These are those shifts that I made.
Oh, can you say a little bit more about them?
Yes. So, like, one was moving from a person of perfection to a person of excellence. So, we kind of talked in the green room before we got started. I was diagnosed with ADHD just a few years ago. In high school, they did figure out that I had dyslexia because I could never get rid of this floating C. I had all these A's and B's and this floating C. And I always thought I was dumb because I couldn't get straight A's. And that wasn't true. Like, I could talk and I understood everything that I was doing. I just couldn't put it into test form in order to do well. And so once my kids were born and I was a stay-at-home mom, which I had dreamt about being forever, and I had an early childhood degree for crying out loud, like as a really good mom, I babysat for like 8 years. Like I was like ready for this and I was doing really good
Right.
at the momming thing. And then life just got really complicated as the kids started to get into school age and the complexities of life really started to hit me. And I just couldn't do everything as well as I wanted to. And so I started just saying, well, I'm not a perfectionist. I'm not a perfectionist. Perfection isn't a thing. And I was saying it more like a cop out or an excuse than a fact, which it is a fact. Perfection is not a thing. And after a while, I thought, that's really not fair. And it was probably my mid 40s when I finally said, this isn't fair because I really bring my best self to every problem. I really put forth excellent effort all the time, but I'm not perfect. One, because, apparently ADHD, dyslexia, whatever, but I can create things from nothing. But I'm never going to be perfect. And no one else is either. And so I was like, but I am a person of excellence. So instead of just saying, well, I'm not a perfectionist, I'm going to mail it in. No, I put in, I am excellent. And what
Mm.
happened there was a huge shift that I didn't realize would happen. And I didn't realize it until recently. I went from judgment to grace. When
Mm.
I was under perfection, I was judging myself and I was judging others. I knew I wasn't hitting the mark. So then I just turn around and go, well, you're not hitting the mark either because we can't. And so I'm going to judge you and judge me and judge everyone else and negative, negative, negative. But when I put in excellent effort and knew I had done the best I could with the resources I had at the time and called good enough, but not just like good enough, but like good enough, like I did a good enough
Right.
job, then I gave myself grace with whatever I did. And I started to give everyone else grace around me because I no longer judged them for perfection because I wasn't looking for
Mm.
perfection. And it wasn't until really, really recently that I started to realize that I don't even take the judgment when it's given my way. So if you judge me for something, like you're still living under a perfectionistic ideal and you're like, oh, you missed a spot or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I did. Walk away. And it doesn't like wound me like it used to. Like even when I was
Love
first
that.
in excellent, I would have been like, oh, now I just say this is my thing. I'm rubber and you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off me back to you. Like, but that's how I literally, it's like I have this pink bubble around me. It's just like bing, bing. Like you can judge me all you want, but it doesn't hurt me. It's just going to bounce right back on you because that's what perfection does. It bounces
Mhm.
right back on you. The
Mhm.
judgment comes back to you. And so it's
Right.
just so freeing to live in grace. It's so freeing.
I love that. I love that for you, and I love that resource and that tip. Just that one, and I know it wasn't easy or little, but it
No.
is a shift. So, a shift from perfectionism to excellence. I love that. I love
Mhm.
that. In your book, you give us well, first of all, I just have to say, when I was reading and I came to the page that had a line in it that is probably written in our book too, because I
Oh,
read it and my whole body just was like, "Ah, soul sister. You must take care of yourself so you can take care of others."
yes.
Right? That self-care in order to thrive in community care. And first of all, I wanna tell our listeners, get buy the book. It's on pre-order, and we're gonna talk more about that later, but I did feel a little called out, so I wanna and I've been working on organization. We have a lot of Women Connected in Wisdom. We have, Melody LeBaron, who is one of our organizers who's come and talked on the show, and I've made some shifts, and I love your book because I feel like it's gonna take me the rest of the way over the finish line, because of the way that you break it down. But you start off saying, "Take ownership of the minutes in your day. Observe
Mhm,
them, analyze them, and then learn to manipulate them."
mhm.
Will you tell our listeners a little more about that?
I love playing with time. I love playing with time. It's a little side hobby, and now I realize, wow, I talk about this a lot. Like, I love thinking about we have 172 hours, 168 hours, I don't know, whatever, in the week. Like, we have a lot of hours in a week. When you think about that and you work 40 hours a week, you're like, whoa, I have like 3 other jobs worth of hours. Yeah, like, keep some of those for sleep. But yeah, we have a lot more time than we think. And so you can think about the big amount of times, or I like to think about 4-month chunks of time at a time, and we divide our years into 3 trimesters instead of quarters in households typically. But also you can get down to the minutes. And it is amazing when you can take control of the minutes in your day, not in a controlling or obsessive or stressed out or anxiety producing way, but in a how can we stop the little tiny leaks of time and mostly frustration that comes from that build up to the point where when you have a true emergency and you need to have a bucket of time taken away, you're so depleted because you're so annoyed that you had to wait that morning for the water to heat up naked standing in front of the shower. So that's one of the
I love
stories I
that
tell in the
story
book.
in your book. Yeah.
And I'm just like, I realized I went through a whole day and I was like ticked off all day long. I got to the end of the day and I was like, wow, I was never mad at my husband or my kids. But boy, am I mad at the machines in my house and the water and the waiting. Like, and that is something we can control. So there's some stuff we can't control and there's some stuff we can control. And when you really start looking at what can you control and how can you control it? So waiting for shower water to heat up. You cannot make a shower become hotter faster. Like that's not something in your control. But I also brush my teeth every single morning. So I was waiting for the shower water to get hot, washing my body, coming out, brushing my teeth. I was like, what if I turn on the shower water, go brush my teeth, and magically enough, the shower is usually hot enough by the time I come back after I brush my teeth. Another option would be if you have a spouse to have them shower first because then the water will be hotter. I don't like that option though, because then I'm not as much in control because I don't know how long his shower is going to be. And I really want to be the one that gets it first so that I know that I'm on schedule. Okay, I'm a little bit of a control freak. Not totally, but sometimes.
It's good to know yourself, right? It's good to know. And when as I was reading it, I was thinking about it as like habit stacking, like
Yes,
things we
totally.
do. And what I loved about your book is it wasn't like you're doing it wrong. It wasn't like you've got to change everything. Just kind of look at it and tweak it. Like
Yep.
just say, like just the paying attention and being very intentional with how you tweak it. And
Mhm.
your example of unloading the dishwasher while waiting on the coffee to brew, right? Because
Yeah.
I do that. I unload my dishwasher while I have something else that I'm waiting on. Mine's the tea kettle because 'cause I'm a tea drinker, but, same thing is, like, I was paying attention to, okay, I could stand here, or I could something that is important to me, which is resetting that system in the kitchen, not
Mm.
important to anybody else in my household, but it is important to me. I was
Yep.
like, "I'll just take care of it," right?
Yep.
And so that was really good. Okay, so I'm gonna kinda pop around because
That's
I
fine.
I would love to go through all 10, but I don't we're a one-hour podcast. So, this is the one I felt so called out on, and I wanna have a conversation about this one. It was
Okay.
number 4.
Okay.
Acknowledge that Swiss cheese organizing does not work. Will you tell folks what you talk about? What is Swiss cheese organizing and and the antidote?
Okay. So I am a teacher first. And the thing that I teach now is organizing. So the subject matter that a teacher teaches is always secondary to being able to teach. And what a good teacher does is they understand the subject matter that they are teaching, and then they understand the students that they are teaching to. So I'm teaching mostly adult women. Okay. Now, adult women, we need to talk a little more gently to each other, right? And to ourselves because we're a little shell shocked and we're like living through a war. So I know that you are feeling already put upon and you are already judging yourself. I do not need to judge you. Do I know how to organize your house? Yes. Could I bring in a team and have it done in a week? Absolutely. I know how to do the skill. Learning the skill of organizing isn't about the outcome. It is about learning the skill of organizing. When you can organize a silverware drawer, you can organize a bathroom drawer. When you start looking at all your kitchen cabinets as little tiny closets, you'll be like, oh, that's the dishes closet. Oh, that's the breakfast closet. Instead of like, this is my kitchen. Like I try to, as a teacher, paint pictures and give you different definitions so that you look at your house differently. Because once you look at your house differently, then I can teach you. But while you are continuing to look at your house in one way, it's really hard for you to hear what I say because you're like, yeah, heard it. So I want to tell you as your teacher, you do not have an effort problem. There's not a single woman in the world that has not put enough effort into getting her house organized. You have an order of operations problem. You're trying to divide and multiply before you learn to add and subtract. And you're not doing, you remember everything in the parentheses is done first before you add and all that. So here's what we women, all of us are doing. This is why it's hilarious when you read it. You're like, dang it, how does she know? Because we all do this. Me too. Every single one of us. It's a Friday and you are going to take back your house. So first of all, everything with a heartbeat runs and hides. And then you're like, all right, we're going to take back our house. Now, if you have children, do you have children? You have children, right? But yours are grown. Okay, I should give an example that isn't with young children because our children are grown, Christine. So you're going to take back your house and you don't have children in the household. Okay, so you're coming in and first thing you do is you clean and you organize the kitchen and then you straighten up the family room and then you touch on the garage because that's where you go through. You run some laundry through. You might pick up the living room and dining room. You're like, everything looks great. I'm done for the weekend. And you move on. And when you don't have children living at home, this will last for, a period of time. But if you're cohabitating with a spouse, not so long. When you organize the living spaces of your house first, the people would see when they come over. First of all, make sure people are coming over. No one comes to my house, so it doesn't matter. So if they're not coming, ignore that. But even if they are, they don't even notice. They get undone. They get undone quickly. What you should do first when you can stand it is to say, okay, I've got energy and I have time. All you need are energy and time. And then I want you to take that energy and time and I want you to divert it to a space that no one sees but you. And I would love for you to start in your closet, bathroom, and bedroom. The reason why is because you will reap immediate rewards. Immediate. As a matter of fact, in the book, I go detail through how to do your bathroom because nobody ever tells you how to do that. So I pick that instead of your closet. And I go detail by detail, step by step by step by step by step. When you follow that chapter in the book, your bathroom will be more organized than you even thought bathrooms could be organized. And I don't even tell you to buy anything. It's all about getting rid of what you don't need, keeping what you do need, reorganizing where it is, and buying back stock so that you never run out of anything. Can you imagine if when you walked in your bathroom, you have no samples you don't need, you have a backup of your toothpaste, your deodorant, your foundation, your everything, all of a sudden you realize you're getting low on toothpaste. Doesn't matter, you've got another one. Here's what I've noticed with this. When I run low on toothpaste and I don't have another one, I am stressed out every single morning and night when I brush my teeth. But when I have a backup toothpaste, I actually get more out of the toothpaste tube that I'm still using because I'm not stressed about it. And I keep going, well, maybe I could get a little bit more before I move to the new toothpaste tube I have. Have you ever noticed that? So anyways, if you do that, then that bathroom space will stay organized. I don't know, for adult women like us with kids not at home, 10 years, it's perpetually maintained at that point. So organize those spaces. Organize your storage room. It's a prepaid store. Set up the shelving. Set it up like a prepaid store. Get rid of all the trash. That will stay organized forever. If you move, it will move with you and it will stay organized. Organize the spaces no one sees. Then when you're all done, and this will take 1 year to 2 years, it's okay. It's been disorganized your whole life, so who cares? Then do the family room and the kitchen, everything, and then your house truly will be all the way organized. And by organized, I mean functionally organized. I don't have matching bins and nothing is labeled in my house.
Right? But it works for
Yeah.
you.
I
And
know
I
where
love
everything is.
that. I love and I wanna I had already started this process before I read your book, so it was really validating to me because I had
Great.
reset my closet, and I had done this thing that one of my dear friends, who's also a Women Connecting Wisdom, Dr. Cynthia Phelps, every time I would go to her house, I would see this beautiful display of her necklaces. Like, she had
Mhm.
created this thing, and it was art, and I, being someone who was diagnosed with ADD long, long time ago,
Yeah.
I would stress I didn't wear a lot of necklaces or jewelry because I couldn't find them. Like, they'd be in a suitcase or they'd be in a purse
Yeah.
or they or I'd forget I have them because that out of sight, out of mind thing is real. And
Yes, it is.
so one of the things I did for myself recently on her example is I just got these cute little hangers and I put them in my bathroom when I redid my bathroom and my closet, and I hung up all the ones I could find. I'm still in the process. You said a year to 2 years? Um,
Yeah.
but now, like, when I go in my bathroom, here's all these beautiful and most of the time they were gifted to me. Like, this is from my
Yes.
friend Tony who made this for me, and this was in a box, and
Yeah.
I put it up and hung it up. This is a blue necklace for people that are listening. It's a blue glass bead necklace that my friend Tony made for me, and now, not only do I get to enjoy them and love them, I actually use them. Like, I'm
Right.
like, "Oh, and it's easy." Like,
Right.
I'm like, "Wait, what is this magic that I'm not stressed out about?"
Mhm.
And no shame, blame, or guilt, as my friend
Right.
Cecile says, especially for folks that are neurospicy. Like, for years, I would be digging in a laundry basket because I didn't have my system set up for the whole system to work. We'd have clean clothes, but they'd be in a basket. And
That's okay.
I'm so enjoying walking into my closet and seeing, because it is that problem. I would wear the same thing over and over again because if I saw it, I'd wear it. But if I don't see it, I what?
Yes.
So I love this advice about starting with you and starting with your personal places. I think
Mhm.
that is really, really awesome. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, because it was another place that I was like, "Whoa, she has lived my life." Let me see what it was, and we are about the same age and our kids are about the
Mhm.
same age, so it kind of makes sense to me in that regard. But you had said, let's see where I put it. It was basically talking about our unseen and unpaid labor, and it was about okay, hang on. Stop hiding your invisible work is
Yes.
what you say. Say a little more about that because I so resonated with this section where your kids and your family were like, "You work too much."
So here's the thing. First of all, you have to know when you're running a household, you are running a business. Like 68% of US GDP is household spending. So all women, paid, unpaid, doesn't matter. You are running a household. And the economic size of the household you're running is whatever you tell the federal government on your tax return you make, and then charge taxes on it. So if you make $50,000 a year, you have a $50,000 business. If you make $1 million a year, you have $1 million business. And that is your profit line. And then all the expenses and all the work related to that is how you run your household. So women who are working outside of the home and or starting their own businesses, you're running two businesses. That's why you're exhausted. That's why it's so hard to get it done. Now, back to the household. There's a lot of different work that happens in a household. And in academia, they study this as they call it housework, but really they're measuring household activities. It's two completely different things. When you look at the American Time uses, the American Time census, household activities includes waiting for your electric vehicle to charge, feeding ducks. This is literally what's in there. Sewing, mowing the lawn, parenting isn't in there, but everything you can imagine that you would do in a household is how they measure household activities. There's a little part of that that they call housework, but that is not what academics use to do housework. They use the whole household activities section, and then they add parenting in.
Hey, y'all, this is a great place to take a break and hear from our sponsors. Anything we want to shout out?
Absolutely, y'all. It is 2026 right now. It depends on when you listen to this replay, right, or where you are in the world. But right now, the doors are open for volume 3. So if you love, hearing these types of stories, if you love being connected, and you also have a resource, you also have a story that you would like to share with Women Connected in Wisdom, get tapped in. Whether you're on the link listening to the podcast or on our link tree, there's a link there. Put in the information for the interest form to volume 3, and we'll add you to our list of people that we're reaching out to. But, after volume 2, I was like, oh, I have more to say. I wonder if we're going to have another book. We didn't do it last year, so don't wait till the next time. If this is the time and you feel that tug on your heart, see if Women Connected in Wisdom is the right fit for you, and we would love to have you join us.
Yeah, we're looking for 24 authors. And you know what I love? Not just walking through the process, because we do all kinds of classes about writing your bio and your storytelling, and I love all of that. But I also love the publishing part and walking people through how to be a best-selling author.
Yes.
And then I love our summit that comes afterwards. I missed having our summit last year, where then we walk our authors through how to be speakers and how to open up those doors as a best-selling author into speaking and letting the world hear your voice and hear your purpose and what you're doing in the world. It's just, I don't know, it lights me up. So I can't wait to meet this cohort of authors and see what they have to say.
That's what I'm waiting for. I wonder who's going to be on the list. What stories are we going to be sharing? What are we going to be reading through? And I love seeing the impact, the people who come to the conference who may not physically be able to get there in person, but they can come join our virtual events and what we've been doing over the last few years. So get connected, y'all.
To do housework. They use the whole household activities section. And then they add parenting in, because they're usually adding husband and wife with children because they want to find a male-female difference. If there is no husband and wife, then how do you have the difference? And when you have kids in there, there's a lot more work. So you can see a lot more load. So when we're discussing invisible load, invisible work in the home, that term is coming from academia. And it is heavily influenced by parenting because it's almost exclusively studied in parenting. Alison Daminger, one of the leading researchers, started studying this using parents as her population when she wasn't a parent. And now she's a parent and she's like, glad I studied that population because I was right. That is the population that has a lot of invisible labor. So the invisible labor, though, we really need to think about if our household is a business, not every single thing done in the household is work. Like you wouldn't say like, all right, well, if you spend all day working on email at your paid job, I mean, you get fired, right? Like you have to do marketing, you have to do finance, you have to do operations, you have to do email, you have to do administration, you have to do all those things. So first, we need to get better definitions of how we do things in our household. So I have defined housework. No one has, by the way. All these academic studies are all making their own definition up. And there have been 2 scientists in the last 40 years that have asked for academia to create an operational definition of housework. An operational definition is a definition that all scientists agree on so they can measure the same construct. Doesn't exist. So that's what I did for my research practice.
Okay, so just let's pause right there. Because we could go off on a whole tangent. We won't.
I'm going to get back to the
reason it doesn't exist is because traditionally it's been considered women's work. And the science, like, that's amazing to me. Operational definition doesn't exist. So how do you define it? Because now it does.
So I didn't even define it. I did a scientific study to define it. So the American population defined it.
Okay.
18 to 80 was my population sample, not just married people with children. So I had all the people in the American population, 1,000 people. And we took 87 of the American, of the household activities categories. And I said, is this housework or not? And if it is it essential or not? And what I was looking for was this male-female difference that academics have found. Didn't find it. So I have a non-significant finding because I was looking for a gender difference. Men and women equally agreed that only 19 tasks were housework, and they equally agreed they were all essential and they only fit in 3 categories. Laundry, cleaning, and anything related to food prep. That's it. That's housework.
Interesting.
So I say that because that's housework.
Okay.
Now, I talk a lot about household management. That's also invisible. This is being the CEO of the household, being the CFO, the person in charge of the calendaring, all that. That is also invisible work. So I had to give you that background in order to answer your question.
Thank you.
And how we make the invisible load visible.
Right?
There are two ways. Housework, laundry, everything food related, and cleaning will have to be done for you from the time you're born until the time you die. Everybody has to do it. Even on vacation, you have to do it. It's very visible. Your family gets the flu, it's immediately evident, all of the housework, because it's backed up. You can see the mountains of laundry, you see the dishes, you see everything. It's very, very visible. The way we make it invisible is we take care of it when our family's not around. They go off to play golf and go to sporting practice, and we stay home and we clean the house all day. And then they come back and, oh, yay, everybody came back from having fun. Why did we think that was fun? We should have gone and done Pilates or taken a walk or gone to coffee with our friends, or we should have all done the housework together before we leave. So housework is already visible, but we make it invisible. I don't know why we do this. So you should take center stage. You could do the laundry if you want, run it through the machine however many times it needs, and bring all the clean laundry into the family room floor. And then Friday night, order a pizza, kick on the movie, and then pass out the baskets for everybody to fold it, or bring everyone in to do the dishes at the same time. Like, do it visibly. The invisible work of household administration, I make visible through the Sunday basket. And my husband watches me do it for 2 to 3 hours every week. And he goes, I can't believe you're still opening mail. I can't believe you're still on the computer. I can't believe you're still paying the bills. I'm like, do you want to do it? He's like, no.
Mhm.
I can't believe it takes this long. I'm like, yeah, it takes a long time, dude, to run this
Right?
household.
I love that because in the book, you have a whole section about it. But you say when we do housework without an audience, even if it technically is visible work, it is invisible to our families. And I wanted to tell you this story because when I read it, I was like, oh my gosh. So this was years ago. I've been married to my sweetheart now. I think we're on 32 or, we're so far along we don't actually count unless it's a big year. But it was years ago, and my brother-in-law was over, and he lives in a different state from us now, and his wife had 4 young children at the time, and I had 2 young children. And he had come into our house, and he was sitting having a conversation with my husband, and he says to him, "Oh my gosh, how does your house stay so clean?" And out of my husband's mouth comes the words, "Oh, it's really easy, it just kinda magically happens."
Kind of magically. Because that's what we make them.
'Cause he had
How would they
no
think it happens? They've never
clue.
seen it.
He had no clue how it magically I I started making housework visible from that moment on because I was so floored that he thought it I'm like, "Are there elves that I don't know about? Like, what is happening here?" But it was so when I read this, I'm like, "Oh, so it's not just me," because I thought it was me, right? I
Right,
was like,
right.
I didn't do this right, or I didn't train him right, or I didn't raise my kids correctly, all the things that we should on ourselves as women. And it was like, as I was reading your book, I felt so validated about, oh, okay. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, this is normal, right?
Yes.
So I'm paying attention to time, and we've got to talk about that Sunday basket
Okay.
because as a person who's neurospicy or just people that live in America and get so many
Mhm,
papers, right?
mhm.
You say in your book, this
Mm.
stack of papers was a physical representation of my to do list.
Yeah.
And the chaos of this pile matched what was happening inside of my brain. For someone who still I finally got a mail system I think works, but I'm 56 and I still struggle with this. So, Lisa, and trust me, when I found out you
Mm.
have your second podcast that's episodic, I'm like, "Oh, that is on my to-do list." But tell folks about your paperwork system and how you have conquered this, please.
Okay, so I created the Sunday basket for myself when my kids were 2 and 6 months old, and I was paying bills late just because I couldn't find them anymore. And I am a out of sight is out of mind person, so I can't, like, file anything behind a door, like, it would never be done ever again. So I like piles. So I'd always have these piles. I had these huge piles, and this is 2002, so there was, like, barely the internet and definitely not smartphones, and so everything was on paper. But I like to print everything out still today because the computer distracts me, so I like it printed. And I divided everything out into all the different actionable tasks, like you were talking about task stacking, phone calls to make, bills to pay, forms to fill out, things to put on the computer, things to talk to my husband about, yada, yada, yada. And then I grouped all of those into individual slash pockets, which are binder inserts. They're color coded and they have tabs on them. We manufacture them now so you can have 5 blue, 5 purple, 5 pink because I made my own school supplies. Anyways, the Sunday basket.
Wait. We can't pass over that.
Yeah.
As somebody who, is neurospicy, school supplies are like our
Oh, yeah.
gold at
Oh,
our
I know. Right?
organization. So you now manufacture your own
Yeah.
school supplies.
I manufacture my own school supplies. And when I started in 2018, mine were not the standard of office supply stores. But since COVID and so many businesses have closed, my standards are now higher than what you could find in office supply stores. And, if you like office supplies, you like office supplies.
Right?
So anyway, this Sunday basket.
You are living the dream, Lisa.
Yeah,
Okay, back
totally.
to this
I went to my warehouse. I'm
basket.
like, I'll take more of these, please. But also to that point, if organization is a learnable skill, who's teaching it and where are the supplies we need? Because it's not bins. We need to be able to manage our paper. And by paper, I mean a couple of things. Yes, mail, forms, and bills, but also ideas and projects and things that are on our wish list for a future, but we don't have the time, money, and capacity right now for them, but we don't want to forget it. So, kind of like Pinterest, but printed out because Pinterest just overwhelms me. So I needed to be able to visually see all the projects I had going on. And as I had brilliant ideas all day long, to be able to
Yes, you
write those
do.
down on an index card and save the idea. Like I have a slash pocket that is 12 years old about a TV show that I want to have. I've even talked to a producer about it. And every time I have more ideas, some of the scripts are written, like they're all printed out, they're in there. When it comes to pass, I'm ready to go, baby. I already have notes for the next book. It's all written down. Where do you guys put this stuff? I don't know where you put this. I needed a place to put it. So I put it in these slash pockets, write it in notebooks, write it on to-do lists. But there's more than that. The household administration, the job of running a household, running the business of the household, requires that you update calendars all the time and pay bills and check people's schedules and plan for holidays and all of the things that we do administratively, like our own secretaries. And that's what the Sunday basket is. She is your executive assistant. She is your second wife. Like you tell her something and she'll just hold on to it for you until Sunday. She'll be like, remember you wanted to do this brilliant idea. Oh, that wasn't very good. I'll just recycle that. Or yeah, that was a brilliant idea. I need to do that. And so her job is just hold every single thing that you don't want to or can't hold in your working memory anymore and remind you every Sunday, you have all these genius ideas. What would you like to do this week? What would you like to pull out of this box? Let's do all the things we have to do. And then let's get all the things that we want to do in the future. So my current dissertation is on executive functioning and specifically working memory and prospective memory. So prospective memory is the memory of remembering. I have to remember to get eggs on the way home. Okay, so that's a task now floating out there in the ether that I have to remember to do. And I was thinking about that while I was listening to the interview with you. What do I do with that information? Do I keep listening to you and answering these questions? Or do I go, remember the eggs, don't forget the eggs. You're going to have nothing for breakfast. You don't have eggs. You need eggs. You need eggs. So I just write it down. I just write it down. I get it out of my brain and I write it down. That's my solution for perspective memory. Also, you can have interruptive thoughts and they may interrupt what you're doing and you need to change what you're doing and then you need to remember what you were doing. So the interruption sometimes changes your working memory to a perspective memory thought. Either way, you have to remember. And those are just a couple of examples. Like you're buying something and then you have to get a passcode in order to use your own credit card on your own phone. Ever do that? All right, now we're over in our email. Got to get a passcode. Remember the 6-digit code. We come back over. Bing. And now there's a text message from your husband. Do you ignore the text message and keep purchasing? Or, oh, geez, he was going to visit his mom and she was on her way to the ER. No, we go over to the text message, right? Well, then once you're done with that, oh, it's no big deal. He just wanted to know if I wanted eggs on the way home. Okay, now I'm going to go back and finish my purchase. But when I'm finishing my purchase, the dog also wants to go out. Now I'm letting the dog go out. And likely you forget to go back and make the purchase. And then at 3 a.m., you remember you forgot to make the purchase.
Right.
This is all Sunday basket. Anything that waits till Sunday goes in the Sunday basket. Everything that can't doesn't because you have a plan for your life. You are doing something. When you have those prospective memory thoughts and these interruptive thoughts, as long as you can write them down and they can wait, they can wait. If they can't wait, I just take the little index card or piece of paper, which is the same size as my phone, and I put them together and I put them in my purse and I make sure I get them done that day. But you'd be surprised when you start writing it down how much can wait. And then about 6 weeks in, the magic happens, which is your brain stops working as a mental to-do list because it knows you're going to write it down and put that information somewhere and make sure it gets it done. And it opens up your cognitive capacity in a way you've never experienced before to make synergies between things you're thinking about, to think further in advance, to think higher level, to think more strategically. It is the way to unlock your cognitive superpower, is to stop treating your brain like a to-do list reminder and task master.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you just said so many things, and I'm trying to think about what I want some practical here because
Mhm,
at Women Connect and Wisdom we talk about authentic stories, which you have a
mhm.
beautiful one, and then the resources. Show me again what is it that you carry around with you? I just saw a pad of
Oh, I
paper
just
in
have a
your
little
phone.
notepad. I have these everywhere. I have little pads
Okay.
of paper, which of course I manufacture, but you don't need mine. I mean, you can get it. I started with index cards because I kept buying index cards as school supplies, and then the kids didn't use them, but they kept putting them on the list. So I had, like, I don't know, 1,000 index cards. I was like, "Well, I'll start
Right.
using these." And that was genius. I went from to-do list to index cards, and it has been a game changer.
But your pads of paper are like your index cards. So somebody could use
Yeah,
an
I tear
index
them apart.
card, they could use the pads of paper. Okay, so I want to get in the weeds here because we're both neurospicy. So when you're running around, because I could totally see this working for me, but here's what I also would see happen. Me
Okay.
writing a note and tucking it
Yep.
in a coat pocket or leaving it
Yep.
in my
Yep.
car.
Yep.
What do you do with the
Yep.
notes?
'Kay. So I manufactured a little mini portfolio. You
I
guys,
love
I had
you
to solve my
so
own
much.
problem. These things don't freaking exist. Okay, so you open it up, it's got 2 sides. One side is my personal, one side is my work, and
Okay,
so look at how many little individual cards are in here, and
right.
then I just keep this in my purse, and then when I get home, I just take them out and I put them in the Sunday basket.
Okay,
So, like, in here, I have this because I wanna order this. Like, I wanna order this
right.
shirt. So I have it in here with the coupon that goes with it. So it's right in here, and this is, like, what I carry around during the week. And then I
Okay.
emptied this on Sunday. First, you have to do a scavenger hunt. You have to go through your purse and your backpack and this thing and the mail on the counter, whatever. Like, you have to gather all of your school supplies before you can do your homework.
Mhm.
And then you go through and you do your Sunday basket. You never have enough time. I spend 2 to 3 hours every week. It's never enough time. And that's the limiter. Like,
Mhm.
you're never going if you keep trying to get your to-do list done or touching your mail only once or doing every 2 to 3 minute activity that you think of when you think of it instead of delaying it, you are never going to get off the hamster wheel. Period. End of story. You must create limits. Like, okay, at 3 hours, I'm doing the administration for the week. Everything else will have to wait until Sunday. And sometimes things won't get done, and that's good. 'Cause you don't need to get it all done. There is no final exam. You get to say, "No,
Right,
I don't wanna do it."
right.
Yeah. But let me show you one more thing about my mini Padfolio because you
I
like office supplies.
I do
Okay, the
love
way I
office supplies.
manufactured this will also hold a bigger notepad in there, which of course I manufacture those too.
Okay.
And they'll hold it on right or left-hand side, so it doesn't matter if you're right or left-handed. I'm right-handed, but I know left-handed people don't have good supplies.
Thank
See
you.
what I mean?
Thank you.
Okay. So you could fold your things in here. You could put pads on both sides. It will close if you do the bigger 5x7 pads on both sides. There's a little thing here. You could put your notebook in there if you're a notebook girl. I'm not, but a lot of people are, so I put it in there. But here's the best part. Have you ever seen a Padfolio that has this big of a slot that you could actually put index cards in? No.
No.
You know what it is? It would be divided in half for you to put business cards in. And the business cards don't even fit in there because it's way too tight. Because apparently no one ever tried it in the manufacturing department. What in the heck? So yeah, you could just put this in. Yeah, yeah, it works. The magnet is
Oh
super, super strong.
my
Yeah,
gosh,
the
that's
mini Padfolio.
fabulous.
I don't know. I could
And you
tell you
just
who
tote it
designed these.
around with it.
I
I
did.
love that.
And it's navy because I like navy better than black.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
I love the way your brain thinks, first of all. I just wanna say thank you. I wanna say thank you for, like, you're putting your work and your superpowers out in the
Mm,
world, right?
yeah.
Before we go to wisdom in action, will
Okay.
you tell folks I want you to tell folks about getting your latest book and about your new book club that's starting.
Okay. So when you do Strengths Finder, like it's a, what Strengths Finder is, and you figure out what your strengths are. My top two are significance and learner. Like I love to learn and I love to make significant impact. It drives me crazy that people will buy a course and not complete it. So mine are lifelong courses and I like hunt you down. I'm like, you will complete the course. Because I don't like it that people just make money off of us. Like I want you to have the transformation. I'd rather you not buy it than buy it and not use it. Like that just I cannot
That's the
handle that.
teacher in you.
It's such the I will have friends that are like, "No, Lisa, just do this, you'll sell more." I'm like, "No, but they won't do it." They go, "Well, that doesn't matter. You'll make money." I'm like, I'm good. I'm not gonna do it." Like, I don't have ads on my podcast because they annoy me, so I just don't have them on there, even though I can make a lot of money from ads. So, this book, Escaping Quicksand, is funny, it's good, you can listen to it, you'll have a good laugh, move on with your life. But as a person who is a learner and significance, and I know my audience very well, I want us to experience this book together over 13 weeks, one chapter at a time. So I've already recorded the audios and I'm dropping one audio chapter per week in my private app. And then I'm putting in a little video and I'm asking us a question. So the first chapter is about my quicksand story, which is kind of funny. I mean, sad, but also hilarious because of the rat. Anyway, you have to get the book to find out. Or actually, that chapter is on the podcast. You can listen to that one free. So you listen to the chapter and then you come in and all the women are sharing their quicksand stories right now. And some of them are really, really in the thick of it. And they feel unseen and they're like, I am going down. And the community is coming around them and going, we see you. And how can we support you? And you're going to make it through. And don't worry, I was where you are. And here's what I did. And would this be helpful if I did this? Like, it is truly a community. Can you imagine not just getting the audio of the book free, which you do before the pre-release, but the magic of the book club is we're doing it chapter by chapter. You only get one little chapter at a time. And then you're going to be thinking about this, marinating it. Will you implement every single chapter in real time? Probably not. But will you do a lot more than if you just got the book and buzzed through it in a weekend and moved on? Yes, you will. And so the transformation that's going to happen in the book club is almost more exciting to me than actually launching the book.
Oh, I'm so excited. I love it. I am and people that listen to our show know, like, I believe in body doubling. I believe in
Yes.
community and
Yes.
collaboration. It is the thing that helps me accomplish more than I could have ever dreamed of in my life. So I love this model. Now, you talk about the app. How do people find it? We're going to have it in the show notes and everything
Mhm.
like that. But for those that are just listening right now, will you tell them how to find that?
Yeah, you can go to escapingquicksand.com or organize365.com. Either one will lead you to a banner, which will tell you how to buy Escaping Quicksand. You can get it anywhere books are sold. If you don't care, please buy it on Amazon so you can write me a review later. So you're going to get a book wherever you get it. And then you'll go back to the banner and you'll put the receipt in there. And then that's going to tag you in our automation software to unlock the app. And you'll get an email to get into the app. It's just like Facebook, except not all of our community wants to be on Facebook. And I want everybody to be able to participate, number one. And number two, I don't want you to share things that are vulnerable to you and then accidentally you didn't put it in the right group or you made it unprivate. And now, Uncle Bob knows that
Mhm.
you don't change your bed sheets more than twice a year or something. You're like, oh my gosh, now this is going to be the topic of Thanksgiving dinner that I don't know. Like, I just like the privateness of it. We don't have any
Right?
algorithms going on in there. There's like everything literally comes in real time because there's no automation to it. So it's kind of old school and I like it.
Mm, I love that. I love that. We will put that in all our show notes. So if you are listening while you're driving or while you're jogging or cleaning your house, you can go to womenconnectedandwisdompodcast.com and you will find it. Um, I wanted to say before we go to wisdom in action,
Are we telling a
because
secret now?
well, you know how they make fun of us, our Generation X, about quicksand, because we were the generation that was taught to fear quicksand, right? We were taught it was in our cartoons. It was one of those things and I mean, you're in Ohio. I'm in Georgia. I was raised in Texas. I've never really
No.
experienced quicksand except for metaphorically. But just recently in Florida, there was a man that got stuck in quicksand for like 5 days. Like, he went missing on Valentine's Day, and then they found him 5 days later. He's okay, he's gonna live, but he got stuck up to his shoulders in quicksand. And
I
I
have to go
just
look
was
this up because I didn't even hear this. I was like, "What are you talking about?"
not funny, but I was like, "Oh, all those things that they warned us about could possibly happen if you lived in Florida." So
There are unusual things that happen in Florida. I mean, like, there are really big bugs down there too, like,
right,
great
and
place to visit.
iguanas and big snakes, all the
Yeah.
things. But I just had to tell you about that because when I read the story, I was like, "I can't believe we're about to have Escaping Quicksand on our show at the same time."
Oh my.
So, Lisa, every week we do a wisdom in action. And this is where we take our conversation. I love your professional work. I love the what you're putting out into the world and how you're connecting and especially uplifting women. But also like what are you doing for yourself around
Mm.
environmental wellness this week? If you had to hashtag it, what would you say?
Um, Environmental well, one of the things I'm doing is I'm tricking myself into working out. In the book, I say I'm not a person who works out, and I can't really say that anymore because I started tricking myself into doing Pilates by having someone come to our office to do it with us, and then
Okay.
we've canceled that, and now I go to where she is, and I joined a gym. Yeah. So I'm really working now in my 50s. Who knew? I actually work out now and like I'm changing my body environment. I'm working on my
Wow.
body environment inside and out, what I'm eating, the supplements I'm taking, and on the outside, really working on my core and getting stronger so that I can live another 50 years.
Mm. So I would hashtag that as body excellence. 'Cause you're
Ooh,
talking about
excellent. I
being a
love it.
woman of excellence, but that's body
Yes.
excellence, right?
I'll take it.
Alright. I was thinking about when you were talking about grace over judgment, like, I
Mhm.
really love that because I think that we're taught to judge ourselves a lot and to be not as kind to ourselves. Like I know I've been undoing this for years, right? And when you said earlier about invite somebody over, that really is my ADHD trick to having a household that functions. Is I mean, and I didn't realize how much of a trick that was for me until the pandemic happened and people quit coming over and my systems were like, wait a second, right? If
Right.
I'm not having company, I forget to schedule the carpet cleaner. So, like, it was really fascinating that time
Yeah.
to witness what was happening. But I'm still undoing it and still working on that. So I think I'm gonna hashtag, the grace over judgment and just
Ooh, nice.
really giving myself grace because I have been making incredible strides, and I continue to do so with great resources like this, and I can't wait to unlock and join the book club because I am just so delighted, with your resources and the work, and thank you for coming on here today and being a part of Women Connected in Wisdom. I'm just really, really grateful.
Thank you. This has been amazing.
Well, before you go, because I know we've done the show totally different, usually I would pop you in the green room, but since you're my co-host and my guest today, I just want to give a shout out to our listeners and anybody who is thinking about joining us for our Women Connected in Wisdom Cohort 3 book that is Stories and Resources Rooted in the 8 Dimensions of Wellness. We have another class coming up on March the 18th. It's a Zoom call about why become a Women Connected in Wisdom author and what we offer and the community and the cohort and the things that you do. So that'll be in the show notes if you want to find us. We'd love for you to join us. It's an incredible cohort that's coming together. And we will be back next week for episode 221. And what episode number are you on, Lisa?
Oh, I don't even know. A lot of them aren't numbered.
Okay.
I think we're in the
A lo-
900s or something.
that is ridiculously awesome. I can't wait to dive into all of them. But in the meantime, y'all, be well, be wise, and be whole. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening. This has been the Women Connected in Wisdom podcast. On air live on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern via Facebook and YouTube. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Be part of the conversation and get connected at womenconnectedinwisdom.com.